Hi, do you like being afraid? Fed up with order and harmony and the world all making sense and being the right way up, want a lot of sudden noises and horror and obscenity? Try modern art.
Modern art is obscure, it's elegant, it's strange, it's interesting, but more and more it's shocking. When I first started being interested in modern art, it wasn't shocking so much, but then gradually it was. And now the grim stream has become the mainstream. And most people think shocks are pretty much all that modern art ever was. I know there's more to modern art than that. Sometimes, in my head too, it seems that's all there is. The mad, psycho, nutty, grisly grimness that modern art has become. What are shocks for, I wonder? Why do we want to be shocked by art? So over the next hour, we're going to be taking a trip down the grim stream to the black heart of modern art shocks to find out what's wriggling back there.
Art. Why do you do it? We who have nothing, you who have everything. Dignity, meaning, good looks. Why do you have to behave badly? All the fabulous formal innovations since Impressionism and Cézanne that the public now adores, it's not enough for you. The more we give you, the more beastly you have to be. Why is it that when we look at this, even though we have no idea what it is, we're pretty sure it's probably modern art? It's got shocking nudity and bad acting and a disturbing lack of narrative. If anyone bourgeois were watching, they'd certainly be epatade. Are you angry or are you boring? Of course you want to see disgusting sex-mutant children and cans of artist shit and rotting cows' heads. So I'm not going to be starting with Cézanne-type art, but with something older, something darker. Madrid. This is where the Spanish artist Francisco Goya lived and worked. He was an artist of the Enlightenment, but he lived through an appalling war. The result was the first big shock art of the modern era. Goya died in 1828, and the creepiness I always felt from much of his art was his expression of the extreme contradictions of the real world he lived in. These are some of Goya's last paintings. They never had any titles. No one knows what they really mean or anything about them, except that he was probably suffering some kind of early 19th century version of a nervous breakdown when he painted them. I can see they bring up a lot of the conventional themes of the art of Goya's time: religious festivals, landscapes, picturesque Spanish characters, but in a nightmare way. The light's gone out in these faces. They're not humane, but possessed. It's bad in there.
These pictures seem a long way from what we're usually taught at school that modern art is. This one is about as horrible and furtive and squalid and gruesome a sight as you could get. A grim oldster actually eating a youthful body. But this is by the real father of modern art, not Cézanne, the father of abstraction, but Goya, the father of shocks. Goya painted these scenes of cannibalism and witches' sabbaths and processions of mad people directly on the walls of his house for himself alone to look at. He was in his old age and completely deaf. What is striking about them is the psychological truth for our own time, the way they seem to mirror from 2 centuries ago the weirdness and randomness and blackness of the world we live in. The eyes are either staring or empty. The space is nightmarishly unreal, the mood uniformly sinister, even when hardly anything is happening. In fact, especially then. The title given to this one after Goya's death is Dog Partly Submerged. It's seen as either a dog coming over a hill or drowning in quicksand. No one really knows what it is. But the most glaring and apparent thing about this picture is not the dog, but the thing above it, the grim, meaningless void.
That very void is what I always assumed was the meaning behind the airy blankness of this sculpture by Damien Hirst. Nothing rotting, just a ping-pong ball perpetually hanging in the air. It seems a long way from Goya, but the poetic metaphor that it actually suggests isn't. Whatever you think you believe in, it says to me, the shock of the sudden ending is always near. So that's 2 deathly voids, an ironic one and a black one. Let's go back down the art time tunnel and see what the void meant to Goya. It must have been strange to be alive when God and evil were both very real things. God wasn't dead yet, he was just getting complicated. What charming touristic attractions these faces are. But Goya's pictures of Spanish people aren't charming at all. They're coded messages about darkness and superstition. That stuff was bad, Goya believed, and he wanted to get rid of it. Only it was human too, and you can't get rid of it. Although the history of modern arts for a long time was about transcending darkness with abstraction, artists now want darkness back. So our nowadays stream of shocking art connects with the Goya stream, but for opposite reasons. There's a horrible book by Goya called The Caprices. Horrible but fantastic. The sleep of reason produces monsters is one of its headings. You turn the pages, you can't tear your eyes away. This series of pictures, which was produced to be sold in editions, but which was banned by the Inquisition, is considered to be Goya's first truly original work. It separates the 18th century from the 19th century. I take its pointer to modernness to be its complete amorality. Caprice means something like playful invention. What's it playing with, this picture book? The settings and costumes of ordinary life then, but with black, dark, Freudian drives, before the unconscious was invented. Ugliness, obscenity, bestiality, appetite. Real life turned inexplicably, capriciously into a sea of madness. From the black source of the shock stream out to this, from enlightenment to endarkenment, artists wanting darkness and regression back because it's exciting. Damien Hirst's shark seems at home with Goya, just swimming in a different direction. I remember it didn't seem all that much when I first saw it, just a fish in a tank, but now it's an icon, and it's full of whatever we want it to be full of. It certainly makes sense for life nowadays. Sinister sense. It's advertising marrying minimalism and having Rosemary's Baby. And it has that old dead-eyed look.